Hey guys! I'm TatyWorks, and in today's Procreate tutorial I'm gonna show you an easy way to draw SpongeBob SquarePants step by step. I'll use my custom set of texture brushes, which you can download along with the color palette and background image on the link in the video description. If you like my YouTube tutorials, you can find more in-depth tutorials and exclusive brush sets on my Patreon page. It is also linked in the description below. Without further ado, let's grab our pencils and get started. The size of the canvas that I'm going to use today is 2000 by 2500 pixels and DPI 300. I want to show you a very easy way to draw SpongeBob, and for that I'll be using one of my older brush sets with textures. Here we can find a brush called Textured Liner. Let's grab it from the set and go to the color disc. To select a pure black color, we can do it simply by double tapping at the bottom of the disc. The brush size is set to 17%. And I will just draw a horizontal wavy line, like this. After that I will draw two more wavy lines on the sides. They may go with a small angle. I'm drawing the first one. And then the other one. Now we only need to connect the sides by drawing another wavy line at the bottom. I rotated the canvas for more convenience, so you can do the same. Now I will draw a tiny arc approximately in the middle of this shape, and then a bigger one around it. Let's draw two more shapes on the opposite side. Small one, and then a bigger one. We can apply Quick Shape tool if you wait a second. After that we can move it. And also adjust. After that I will draw another arc to connect these two small shapes. Now let's draw the nose. It will look like this. For the eyes I will draw two arcs first, starting from the middle of the cheek and going to the nose. Let's draw one more, of the same size. They can be adjusted. And after that I will draw two more arcs at the bottom. Also waiting a second to make perfect shapes. Alright, now let's draw two more circles inside the eyes. They may look like ovals. After that I will draw two more circles for the pupils. Let's make them round. So I will switch to circle here, and after that fill them. Let's draw for vertical lines like this. And then connect first two and two more. Now I will draw another curve. We can make it a little wider in the center. I think it's time to draw pants. So I'm just drawing two lines, going down on the sides like this. They may also have a small angle. Let's connect them with a horizontal line. So I will wait a second. After that, draw two small triangles like this. Another one will start at some distance from the first one. Now let's add simple shapes for the tie. Two lines and two more. Now let's draw another horizontal line. We can first make it and then erase here on the tie. Let's draw more lines. Going down like this. And then connect them at the bottom. It may look like an arc or have some rounded corners. I will draw another arc on the side and on the opposite side as well. Let's add horizontal lines. Then two more arcs. And draw simple hands. Do the same on the opposite side. Making a curve like this first. And then adding another curve. Now we can draw the legs. I will first draw lines with a small angle, then two more. Let's connect them. Then here, add two more lines inside for the socks. And draw the boots. To make it easy, I will first draw a circle. Like this. And then continue shapes to the sides. Let's do the same here. I will wait a second. And then go to the side. Here we can fill them. And remove the borders inside. Let's do it here. And then also paint. I think we only need to draw the lashes. For that I will increase the size. I think we can set it to around 26 or 27%. First draw three lines here on this eye. One of them will go vertically and two more to the sides with an angle. Let's try to make it symmetrical on the opposite side. I think I will make it shorter. And finish. I think he's very cute. Now the outlines are ready. Let's proceed to coloring. Before applying base colors, I'll go ahead and change the background color. Selecting color number 14. Now let's go back to the color palette and select first color. I will create a new layer under the outlines. go to Selection and pick Freehand. Let's outline the shape once again, following the black color. I'm trying to create selection inside it, so we won't have any gaps. In this tutorial we will be using many different tools of Procreate. It will be Selection, Clipping Mask, Alpha Lock, and some others. So be ready to all these tools. Let me finish it here on top. Tap here and select Color Fill. After that I'll create a layer below. I think we first can apply all colors and after that shade it. So now I will draw the t-shirt. And it will be pure white. So let's go back to the color disk and this time double tap here on the left to select pure white. I will also use Selection and outline it this way on the sleeve, and then here. We can actually continue, or we can do it by tapping, since we have straight lines. Then outline it here on the side and connect it under the head. It will be also filled. Now let's draw the pants. We can create a new layer for that. And in the color palette, let's select color number 18. Here we can also use Selection. Just tap on the corners. After that I will create one more layer to paint these two small parts, and they will be slightly darker, because they are already in shadow. So here I am going to use color number 23 as the base color. Simply outline these shapes. We can do it by tapping. And then the other one. It is ready. We can now work on the arms. Actually, we can pick the color right from here and create one more layer. I prefer working on multiple layers because it will be easier to shade them later. So we can create it somewhere here. Actually, the order doesn't matter here a lot. I will just outline it. Tap here and then do the same on the right side. Making selection inside the lines. Also tap in, and it is ready as well. I think we can draw legs on the same layer. It will be totally fine. So let's go back to Selection and outline it again this way. And the other one. Alright, this is also ready. And for the socks I will use white color. Let's pick it from the shirt. But I'll create a layer above. We don't have to clip it, since it will be very easy to outline. I will just tap. Let's do it here. And it is also done. Let's see what else we can paint. Let's draw the tie. This layer needs to be created above the pants and the shirt. So it is somewhere here under the head. For the tie I'd like to use red color. which will be number 8. It is also easy to use selection here. So I will just outline it all, like this, and tap to close the selection. Now let's go to the facial features. We can draw the eyes with white color. And for that I will create a layer above the head. Let's also use selection. Outline it around the nose. Then here at the bottom. And go around the cheek. Let's tap here and outline the other one. They can totally be located on one layer as well. Let me finish outlining and then tap. It will be also filled. For the irises I will create another layer, so we can shade them. As the base color, I will be using color number 13. And outline these two circles. 1 and 2. Ready? We only have the teeth. They also will be white. So I will pick color, and I think we can go to the layer with the eyes. Or to be more accurate, we can create another layer. I will make a new one. Let's use selection here. Just tap in the corners first, and then follow this arc. Do the same on the right side. As you can see, it is very fast. Alright, let's check it out now. And the base colors are ready. Let's proceed to shading. With the shading, I'd like to go in the reverse order and first work on the facial features. I'd like to start with the irises. So let me go to the layer, which is number 10, and alpha lock it. In this particular case, we can totally use alpha lock, because we won't adjust the shading layer. In the colors, I will select color number 14, which will be darker, and we can create a shadow. In the brush set, I will pick grainy pencil. Its size can be set to around 42%. Let me make one stroke here to get the texture, and then I will make more strokes on the edge to make it even darker. Now let's do the same on the second iris. First add the texture on top of it, and then make more strokes on top for the shadow. At the bottom I will keep them light. So this is the result. Now let's go to the layer with the eyes, which is number 9. And here I will be using a clipping mask. So let's create a new layer and then clip. You will see why. So first I will grab color number 12 for shading. And also change the brush to textured shader. We need to pick the brush size. Let's make it bigger. I think it can be around 26 or even 30%. And with low pressure, start making strokes at the bottom to add the texture. Then do the same on the second eye. Now I'd like to remove this part that went a little up. And for that I will select eraser that I will set to soft brush. Let me erase it. and I will also erase it at the bottom to reveal the white color. And this way, the eyes will get volume, because it will work as a reflected light. Let me fix this side. And we could do it because we used a clipping mask. If the layer was alpha locked, we couldn't use eraser. Let me just make a couple of more strokes here on the side. Now the eyes are ready. We can totally merge the layers. And to finish them, we need to add reflected light, but it needs to be located on top of the outlines. So let's create a new layer here. Pick white color and select textured liner. I will just draw two circles. One of them will be bigger and located on top of the pupil, and the other one will be smaller. It will go diagonally. I will put it right on the edge. We can do the same on the second eye. First draw in a bigger circle, and then a smaller one. If we now look from the distance, we can see the volume. And now we can go down and work on the teeth. Let's find the layer, which is number 11. And here we can also use alpha lock. Here I will also apply color number 12. Using textured shader. It's the same that we used on the eyes. Let's just lower the size a little, to around 16 or 15%. And make strokes on top of the teeth to create the shadow. I will make a few strokes and keep it textured. Now it is also ready. Let's go even more down and work on the tie. It's on the layer number 8. I think here I will create a new layer with a clipping mask, just for my convenience. And first I will add the shadow, so we need to pick a darker color than the base one. In the color palette it is color number 9. I will continue using the same brush, but lower the size even more. I think we can set it around 11%. I will start making strokes here on top of the tie and on the right side. Let's shade it here. Make the size even smaller. And work on this part. I will just make it more detailed. Let's darken it even more on the edge. On this one. Now we can grab even a darker color, which will be number 11, and shade this part right under the head. So I will increase the size again to around 10 or 9% and make horizontal strokes like this for the cast shadow. In the end we can add the highlight using color number 10 and a low brush size. I will just make a couple of strokes like this, and also here. Okay, now the tie is ready. Let's work on the shirt. So I will merge the layers and go to this one, which is number 3. Let me also create a new layer above it. We can clip it and select color number 12 for shading. Since it is white, there is no way to add highlights. I will be shading it by parts, starting with the sleeve. To be able to apply texture only inside this shape, I'll be using selection. I will just remove color fill option and outline it again. Let's tap here, and we can actually outline the other sleeve as well, since they're not touching each other. Now I will tap on the brush, so we can use it. I think we can make the size bigger, at around 15%, and make strokes this way, to add a shadow. Also on the second sleeve. Here we can shade it even more. Now let's remove the selection and apply it again. This time I will outline the big part. We can tap this way and then follow the head. This wavy line. Let's also tap here to close the selection and activate the brush. Here I will draw a curve following the head shape, so it will work as a shadow. Okay, now we have it. It may go a little down, just working on the texture. And after that we can shade some smaller parts. For example, I'd like to add the shadow under the collar. And for that I'll go back to selection. We can outline this part. I will tap it this way, then close the selection, and then also outline the part under the second part of the collar. It will go to the right side. Let's make it like this, and then also close the selection. Now we can use the brush. Here I will shade it this way, make it textured, and then also on this side. Once it is ready, we can remove the selection and work on the last part. It is under the tie. So I will just outline it again. This tiny part. Make the size a little smaller and just follow the shape of the tie to add the cast shadow. Let me make it even smaller, so it will look like this. Alright, now the short is ready as well. Let's go down and work on the arms. I will start with this one. So we can merge these two layers and go to the sixth layer. I will create another one above it and use a clipping mask. First I'd like to add the shadow, and for that I'm going to use color number 3. Let's set the size to around 10%. First draw horizontally and then vertically. If we apply low pressure, we will get more texture. I will also shade this part. Now let's do the same on the second arm. First I will make horizontal strokes and then vertical. Also keep the texture. Now let's shade this part on the hand. As you can see, I'm not using symmetry tool here. I just want SpongeBob to look more natural and not perfect. After the shadows we can add highlights. So we need to pick some light color. It can be number 4. I will first work here on the edge. Go a little down and highlight this part, just a little bit. Now let's highlight it here on the edge and go a little down. The arms are ready. Let's go to the legs. If you remember, they are located on the same layer. So we can switch to the previous color for the shadow and do the same as we did on the arms. First make horizontal strokes. I will adjust the size a little bit to get more texture. And then go vertically. Doing the same here. Now we can add the highlight using color number 4. Just make a stroke like this. I think next we can work on the socks. Before add the shadow, let's add some decoration. So we can merge these layers and go to the 7th layer. I will just alpha lock it. I will first select color number 6 and also go to change the brush to textured liner. Let's pick the size. I think it can be set to around 25%. I will just first draw 2 arcs. Because if you make straight lines, it will look flat. Now I will change the color to number 8 and draw more. Also make it a little rounded. Like this. For the shadow, I will create a new layer with a clipping mask, because I will be changing the layer's blending mode. So let me clip it, and I will set it to multiply right away. I'm going to use 12th color. On the white it will look same. So we need to change the brush first to textured shader and apply it on the right side. When intersecting with these lines, the color will get darker due to the blending mode. And this is what we wanted to achieve. We can darken this part even more. And it is ready. I think next we can add the highlights on the boots. And actually they can be located on the same layer with the light reflections. So let's pick white color and grainy pencil. Let's make the size smaller. I think around 20%. And just draw an oval here and here. It'll be textured. Now we only have the pants and the head, so let's continue working. I'd like to start working on the big part of the pants. And before shading it, we can add a small detail. So let's create a new layer above the pants. And grab black color from the color disk. I will now go to selection and switch to rectangle. Let's create a rectangle selection this way. For the belt, I'm not filling it. Instead, I will go to the brush set and select textured liner. I will just set it to full size and start making strokes inside. This way we will get it textured. After that, I will go to selection again, removing it first, and create a few more selections. Here, and also here. Now we can swipe 3 fingers down and click Cut. These 2 parts will be removed. Now we can proceed to shading. For that we can create a layer between these 2. And then clip it. So the strokes will stay inside. Let's now go to the color palette, and since we used color 18 as the base color for the pants, let's select a darker one, which will be 19. Here for shading I'm going to use textured shader brush. I will just make the size bigger. Around 37%. And start making strokes horizontally. Let me go a little up this way. Now let's go even darker and select color number 20. Draw more at the bottom. And also make strokes like this, going up a little. To make it even more textured. On the edge I will make it opaque. Now let's work more on it and add some volume for the belt. First I will grab this light color, number 21, and make the size very small. I will add highlights under these lines. Not very thick, just a little bit. Let's go more to the side and finish this one. Okay, we have the highlight. Let's also add the shadow. And for that we need to pick a color that will be even darker. For example, number 22. I will darken this part on top of the belt and also on the side. We can make the size even smaller to be more accurate. And just shade it this way. This trick makes the object look like it is a little inside. It is widely used to draw eyes. Let me shade it here and then finish. Let's check it out from distance, and this is what we will get. I think looks quite cool. We can now work on the small parts. So we can totally merge all the layers for this part of the pants and also for the socks. Now I'm going to the layer number 5. And I think here I will also create a layer with a clipping mask. I just like it more. Here we used color 23 as the base color. So let's go darker and grab color number 24. We have the right brush selected, which is textured shader. So let's continue using it. Just increase the size. I think we can set it to around 22 or 23%. I will first make strokes on both sides and also on top. We can go more down, make strokes like this, and after that do the same on the second part, horizontally and vertically. Keep only small part which is not shaded. Now let's go even darker and switch to color number 25. Here we can lower the brush size a little and shade it more on the edge. Also on this one and on top. Let's do the same here. Also make horizontal stroke and vertical. I'll just make a couple of more strokes for more texture. And we can proceed to the head. So I'm merging these two layers. I think all the rest is already merged. Before we start applying shading on the head, let's work on the outlines. We have it all on one layer, which is number 1. I'd like to change some colors on it. We can do it if we alpha lock the layer. First, I will select the darkest brown color, which is number 5. Now let's go to airbrushing and select medium hard airbrush. I will just make the size not very big, around 13%. Or I think it can be more. I will just work on this edge, around the head. Let's be very careful here, on the sleeve, and on the shirt. Let's make sure we don't paint the collar and the tie. I will go more to the side. And then up. Okay, let's also repaint the cheeks and this curve. I'd like to make them red, so I will grab color number 8. We can paint this one easily. And on the cheeks we need to be more accurate, so we don't paint the eye. Let's work on this arc. Also do it carefully. And now it is ready. We can proceed to shading. So let's go to the layer with the head. And here I will create a layer with a clipping mask. First I will pick a color that is slightly darker than the base one. It is number 2. Now in the brushes, in the texture set, I will pick dry brush. Its size and opacity are at maximum. I will just make a few random strokes. Now we can merge these two layers. And then I will create one more. Also clip it. I just don't want to have a few clipping masks at the same time. Before we apply shading on the entire head, let's work on the cheeks. So I'd like to select color number 7. I'll go to selection, pick freehand mode, and outline the cheeks. Following this red line. Let's connect this one and outline the other one. Also connect it and go to change the brush. I will use grainy pencil. Let's increase the size to around 42% and start making subtle strokes inside the selection to make it textured. Do the same here. I will make it more opaque in the center, around small line. When selection is still active, we can add the highlight right away, using the slide color number 4. With the same brush, I will apply it on top. We can make strokes inwards. And do it here. Once we did that, we can deselect. And first apply visible shadows. For example, we can do it around this line, which works for the mouth, I think. First of all, I will pick this color, which we already used on the cheeks. It's number 7. And I'll go to change the brush to textured shader. I will use selection again and outline the area above the line. Like this. Now let's tap on the brush. The size is set to 17%. And I will start applying shading like this. Try to follow the shape. We can also add the highlight using color number 4, but with a very low brush size. I will make strokes above this line. Just a little bit. Now we can deselect it. And this time go to outline the area under this line. So I will first follow it, then create selection like this, and tap to close it. Let's also use the brush and select color number 3. This time I will increase the size a little bit. We can set it to 15 or 16%, or maybe even smaller. And shade this part, also following the curve. After we did that, we can remove the selection. And now we can shade the area around the teeth with the same color and same brush. Here we don't have to use selection. I will just shade it this way, on the side and under the teeth. If we make size smaller, we can do it easily. This is also done. We can now work on the area under the eyes. Here we can make the size slightly bigger and shade it like this. One arc and then the other one. Now we can work on the nose. To keep the shading inside the shape, I think we don't even have to use selection. Let's try it this way first. Since we have a small size, it may be easy. I will shade it on the right side and also at the bottom. Just make a subtle stroke going down a little. Let's make it more round here. And a little up. Now if we add a highlight, using color number 4, the nose will get volume. I will draw it here, inside. Let me erase it slightly on this line. I will just switch to textured shader and remove it a little. Okay, I think now it is better. Let's continue working and see what else we can do. I think we can add the holes first. That actually make him look like cheese. It's my own vision, but we still need to do it. So we can merge these layers and create another one above. As the base color for the holes, I will be using number 15. And this time I will be using monoline from calligraphy set. With the brush size set to 12%, I will just draw ovals here and there, of different size. can use Quick Shape tool and edit the shapes. I'll be filling them right away. Let's make this one smaller, maybe more round. I'll also fill it, then draw a bigger shape, then a couple more here at the bottom. This one can be adjusted. I will add a smaller shape above it. They may go with a small angle. At the end, I will draw 2 more shapes on the left. Let me draw a bigger one first. I will also make it more round, so it looks almost like a circle. And then draw the last one. It may have another angle. I will adjust it and then also fill. Now we can shade them. For that, I'll go ahead and alpha lock the layer. Let's switch to the next color, which is slightly darker. Go back to the texture set and grab texture shader. I will just make the size bigger and make random strokes inside with low pressure. Now we can switch to the next color, which is number 17, then lower the size and start adding shadows. I've set the size to 12%. And I will be shading the left part mostly. We can make it bigger and more textured. Let's now work on this one. Also add the shadow and work a little on the edge. Now I will switch to this one. Maybe increase the size a little bit, so we don't have any neighboring circles that we could damage. And this way we can make it faster. I will shade the left part more. Let's go down. I will lower the size to work on a small shape. I will also shade it on the left side and go a little up on the right. Let's now work on this one. Here the size can be bigger. Just make sure you are not touching the small circle. Let's shade it at the bottom. And then finish these two. I will start with a small one. Add shadow. Let's make it more clear. And then shade this one. If you want to isolate circles from each other, you can use selection, or just lower the size. I think the holes are ready now. We can finish the shading of the head. So I'll go back to the layer with the head and create another one above it. Let's clip it and start with dark shades. I will use color number 3 and use the same brush. The size is set to 15% and I will start making dark strokes on the curves. On the left side first, then also on the right. Let's make them symmetrical. and we can keep them textured. The last one, and I will follow the edge at the bottom. Now let's switch to fourth color and add the highlights. First I will draw on top, like this, and on the corners. Then I will highlight this part, between the dark lines. Let's do the same on this side. And also on the side from the holes. Just to highlight them. After we did that, our SpongeBob character is ready. Let's work on the background quickly. So we can go to the top layer for now and insert the image. I found it on unsplash.com. I will just scale it. Now let's set it to soft light. I will also desaturate it and drag it down in the layers. Place it right above the background color. We only need to add the shadow under SpongeBob. So I'll create a new layer. We can pick the color that we used for the background. And to get it darker, we can set the layers mode to multiply. I will be using textured shader and just draw under SpongeBob. It may go a little to the sides. Let's make a few strokes going down and also up. Then I will grab Smudge tool and set it to the same textured shader brush. Just smudge the edges a little bit. And after this final step, our cute SpongeBob drawing is complete. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. For more tutorials and brush sets, please check out my Patreon page. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.